Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Onyinye Madubuko, and I will be talking on the topic Burnout to Balance and how Microsoft Viva can help employees thrive. Currently, I'm a modern workplace consultant with Avanade, and I'm keen at engaging myself with people. So, here is my LinkedIn connection. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and we can chat up a week after the call. I'm an IT professional with substantial work experience in the IT industry, and my expertise lies in digitally transforming organization, ensuring that organizations are in the right platform when it comes to modernized communication and hybrid workplace. In the course of our session today, we'll be having an introduction of a topic, the various work techniques to improve productivity, the best practices for prioritizing our well-being in the workplace, and finally, productive approach to promote teamwork. So we already know that the workplace has moved from the traditional to the modern workplace. And what this means is we have less commutes and more virtual meeting. And this took place post-pandemic, right? And the modern workplace, which we are referring as to some, the hybrid mode of working, for some, in quotes, the new normal, has its benefits and sometimes could be challenging. But what we need to understand is being challenging, one of the challenging part of the new normal or the hybrid mode of working, it's most employees find it challenging to balance their work life from their personal life. So it's important that we make ourselves aware that we have to thrive at work. So thriving at work requires that we have to take care of ourselves, our mental health, and our well-being. Because when we do all this, it helps us to go over and beyond. Last month happens to be the month of May where we talk about the mental health. And the theme for last month is surviving to thriving. So I believe this is still in same line while we're trying to thrive at work. It's important that we know that when employees or when people are empowered, it helps them to think better. It makes them to do more together. And the good news is that we have Microsoft Viva, which is here to help us. Microsoft Viva, as we know, is the employee experience platform that aids employees to be the best, irrespective of the personnel. When we're talking about the personnel, we are referring to probably people at the field work, people working from home, people working from the office, irrespective of your smart devices, irrespective of the geographical location. And Microsoft Viva is built in on Teams and has Outlook add-in as well because it helps to structure the workflow of an employee, helping an employee to avoid stress and burnout. So here we can see Microsoft Viva, it has various components. So the components goes from connection, where we're looking at Viva Engage and also Viva Amplify. We have Viva Connections as well. We have the Viva Purpose, where we're looking at the goals. And we have another component, Growth, where we're looking at Viva Topics and Viva Learning. We also have the Viva Sales to help the sales team in an organization. And our focus for today will be the insights, where we're going to be looking at Viva Insights and Viva Pulse. Before I dive into the Viva Insight, I want to let us know a little about Viva Pulse. So Viva Pulse is a feedback tool that empowers managers to understand the day-to-day feedback of their project. So what it does, it helps these managers to pinpoint what is working, areas to focus on, and what is not working over time. So according to Microsoft roadmap, the Viva Pulse will be rolled out either in June or July this year. So let's dive into the Viva Insights. So with Viva Insight, it helps us harness the power of direct and indirect signals. And what this means is we have an understanding of our collaboration time, how effective our meetings are, how the managers could see what's happening within the team members, and how employees can engage and be productive while working as a team. So the Viva Insights could be productive for employees. What's the benefit to employees? It helps the employees to manage their work-life balance. Employees have meaningful connections among their team members, and there is a personal reflection which you're going to look according to, down the slide. and there is capability to have effective meetings, and most importantly, employee engagement and employee empowerment. So how has Viva Insight been helpful to organization? It helps organization to boost employee engagement and retention. What this means is it helps to reduce employee burnouts, making employees to focus more on their well-being, employees to foster collaboration and connection among team members. Another beauty of Viva Insights organization, it helps them to manage hybrid workforce, and also enhancing their business performance. Now, before we dive into the Viva Insights core, we are going to look at some work techniques to improve productivity. One of the work techniques to improve productivity is establishing a routine, setting and sticking to a regular work schedule. What this means is just like we moved from traditional workplace to the modern workplace. So let's take a step back to the traditional workplace before COVID happened. We assume that a user wakes up in the morning, gets ready to work, commute from home to the office, gets to the office, let's say by 8 o'clock or 8:30, and this employee starts working from 9 a.m. Once it's 5 p.m., this user ends the day and commutes back from the office back to the house, right? And everything that has to do with work ends that day. Once the user comes back home, he or she focuses on the family or do other things outside work. But we are already in the new normal whereby we have the hybrid working. Most times people work from home throughout the day. Sometimes people shuttle between the office and the house. And what happens is when people work from home, they don't have a set time. They don't have a routine, which means an employee can start the day by 6 a.m., by 5 a.m., just hopping out from the bed up onto the screen. And most times, employee don't have an end time. Some employees, once it's 5 p.m., or they take their laptop straight to the bed and they continue working. Some work up until 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 a.m. So it is critical and important for an employee to establish a routine time. So we're going to look at how we're going to establish a routine time, a work routine time in Viva Insight. The next we have to look at is task management, breaking down your tasks from monthly to weekly and gradually to daily, because this is going to help you. Another work technique is engaging in regular physical activity, taking breaks throughout the day to stretch, exercise, and recharge. Sitting down for too long while you're working is detrimental to the health. Taking us back to the traditional workplace, or sometimes when we go to the office to work and we meet some of our colleagues, we don't sit down all day. We try to stand up, reach out to your colleagues. Oh, it's been a while you saw this, your colleague. You exchange pleasantry. But when you're working from home, most times, 90% of the time, you're focused on your laptop, you're focused on your working, your office at home, and you're busy working. So it is important using Viva Insights, which you're going to get to soon, on how you can take breaks throughout the day to stretch, exercise, and also recharge. So we have the protect time, and the protect time, there are various ways we can protect our time, and we're going to be looking on how we can use Viva Focus mode. The example we can see on the slide is 120 minutes. So let's assume that you have 120 minutes Viva Focus time. What it means is that it's going to break down your focus time and add breaks. So we can see three consecutive 30s and two 15s in red. So the 15 in red represents the break time. So 120 means you have a 30 minutes to focus on your work, 15 minutes break, another 30 minutes to focus on work, 15 minutes break, and the last 30 minutes. It all depends on the number of minutes you have set out for yourself on focus mode. We have the schedule me time. It is important to schedule your lunch time or meal time break. Sitting down, a practical example to this is you cannot utilize your car without adding fuel or diesel. If it's an electric car, you need to charge the car. If you don't do this to the car, you can't utilize the car. So bringing it back to us as individual, we need to add some energy. We need to fuel our brain. So which means we need to cut it up something. Sitting down working for longer hours without getting something to drink or getting something to eat is detrimental to our health, and it affects our productivity as individuals. Next, we have staying connected with colleagues. We're going to look at through Viva Insights how we can stay connected with colleagues, irrespective of the virtual meetings we have. Prioritizing activities, whereby prioritizing meeting, webinars, and emails. This has been so practical for me as well over the last couple of months. So what this means is, because you have activities that you're running or tasks that you have for the day, you can prioritize your meeting or webinars. Are this meeting critical? Do you have to attend this meeting? If this meeting is critical to your project, obviously you have to attend. But if this meeting is not critical to your project, it's not too important, you can also ask yourself some questions like, would there be a recording for this meeting? If there will be a recording for this meeting, you can choose to attend this, not to attend this meeting, and have a replay of the recording at a later time. Same applies to your emails. Going back and forth reading emails and responding to emails could also be distracting. So it's also important that you schedule specific time for you to read emails and respond to emails. Then also try as much as you can to seek support from your HR, from your manager, from mental health professionals in your organization, or mental health allies, or mental health professionals around your area. This could help you to keep yourself in line. And finally, we have the work smarter, not harder. So I'm going to go ahead explaining this before we dive into the Viva insight. So this work smarter, work harder is a 3 by 3 yardstick I got to know from Ben Mer. And what he explained is that the first three talks about focusing 3 hours on an important activity. So what this means is, like we made mention of task management, breaking our tasks from monthly to daily and to weekly. So let's assume that you're working on a project and you have an important task to cover for the day based on your highest state of energy. For some people, they could be morning people, or for some, they could be the afternoon guys. So if you're the morning person, spec- focus on 3 hours in the course of your morning to work on this most important activity. If you are an afternoon person, same applies as well. And when you do this, you try to define a specific goal progress and block out distractions, which you're going to look at in couple of slides down. And the second three is executing shorter tasks or shorter activities. These are the urgent to dos, just like I made mention about prioritizing emails. These are time you can respond to emails, read up your emails, delegate tasks, provide feedback, and have a one on one chat with your colleagues. And the last three is the maintenance activity. So, in the course of the time where you have already gone for your lunch break, maybe you prepared something, you grabbed a cup of coffee, or you prepared sandwich, whatever it is that you had for lunch. It is not a must you can go ahead and start washing up the dishes. You can leave them once you're done for the day. You can go ahead and do that. So, for some, doing the maintenance activities helps them to distress. You could also, once it's by the end of the day, you're closing by 5, you can decide to leave everything that has to do with work, focus more on exercising, journaling, or reading books, or watching movies, or probably doing something outside work. This would help you to move your mental health or mental thinking from the workplace to a different arena to help you strategize and re-energize better. So let's move into the best practices for prioritizing our well-being in the workplace. Here we have the Viva Insight. So the Viva Insight, like I said, is built into Microsoft Teams. And when you launch your Teams, you search for Viva Insight. So your Viva Insight is by the corner. You can decide to pin it for easy accessibility. Now, when you go to your Viva Insight dashboard, towards the top right, you could see the 3 dots. And the 3 dots, so what it looks like for a user who hasn't set up their Viva Insight, it looks plain like this. So you go to the top right, focusing on the 3 dots, click on it and get to settings. When we navigate to settings, here we are to set up whatever the way we want our Viva Insight to work with us. The first is briefing. What the briefing does is you schedule a time, or maybe you want your briefing to start by 8 a.m. So between the hours of 8 a.m., 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., you get a briefing in your mail based on, and it works with your time zone as well. So this is what the briefing looks like. You get the briefing in your mail letting you know these are the things you have to do. So let's assume that this user Megan had a chat with her colleague yesterday or a few days ago, and they talked about a deck. Assuming Mega has done this, it's left for her to click done. So Viva Insight knows that she has done this already. If she's yet to send this deck to her colleague, she can go ahead to add it as a task. So it is added to her to-do list, something she's going to do at a later time. And it also gives you an understanding of your impact on your quiet time. The next on the settings is the work week. Remember, I made mention of establishing a routine. So if you're working from home or irrespective of where you're working from, it's important to set a work week. So if you're working Monday to Friday, enable that on your Viva Insight and set a working hours. So for this particular user, he or she is working from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. using their time zone. What the work week does is it helps this user to work in alignment with their time. And whenever a colleague wants to send them a message or an email, it reminds them that this is not the user's work time. So we're going to get into that in a couple of minutes. Under the settings, we have the virtual commute. I love this so much because what it does is it helps you or gives you a reminder to wrap up your day and gives you notification around that. So the first we can see here is configuring your commutes, virtual commutes. So for me, I prefer to my reminder to be around 4:30. So which means 30 minutes to 5 p.m. your closing time. It reminds you. So you get a notification on Teams ready to wrap up. And on clicking wrap up, begin your virtual commute, it takes you to a page where you can see the meetings for the next day. So you have a preview of your agenda for tomorrow. What it does, it helps you to mentally prepare for the day and address meetings that need responses. So we can see here that the first meeting has been assigned, but the second one needs a response. So you have to click on it, but whether you're going to accept it, whether it's going to be an a tentative meeting or you're going to decline. It's important to give response to this because it helps Viva Insight to work with your calendar. Looking at your calendar, Viva Insight could also suggest time for you to focus or block out distractions. And the next we're looking at is the to do. So activities that you have assigned to yourself to do at a later time, it's added as to do. And lastly, so you have an understanding of this is what you're going to be doing the next day. And lastly is the wind down, whereby you can listen to Viva Insights um, audio or audio from Headspace. It could be a minute or 2 minutes listening to help you wind down as you get ready to close for the day. We have protect time. There is a lot under protect time on in settings. Here we can configure our quiet time. So if for a particular user who has set up that their start time is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., you can decide that you don't want any notifications on your mobile phone because you have your Teams on your mobile phone as well and other devices. You could set mute notifications. You don't want to get any notification from Monday to Friday between the hours of 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. And during weekends, you don't want to get any notifications at all on Sundays and Saturdays. So this helps to protect, when you configure this, it helps to configure the quiet times for you. What this does is it helps you to mentally differentiate or mentally give space between the work time and your own personal time. So you're getting your personal time to yourself. And when it's work time, you give all back to work time. So there is also productivity inline suggestion, whereby it could also make some suggestion for you in the course of a day. And we have configuring recurring plan for breaks. So when you set up breaks time, you could say 15 minutes or 30 minutes. What Viva Insight does is looks at your calendar and utilizes the areas where there are where there are free slots, and it could schedule 15 minutes or 30 minutes break depending on what you have configured for yourself. We could also configure catch up messages. Let's assume that you're in various team channels, and there's a particular team channel where it's more like a social team channel where your colleagues come, they share the movies they watched over the weekend or the movies they're getting themselves ready to watch for the next weekend. It's not a must that you have to leave whatever you're doing and keep going to the teams, to keep checking, to keep reacting to emojis. You can configure time to catch up on messages, right? Whereby if it's 30 minutes for a day or an hour for the day. During that time, you go on to catch up on messages on various team channels. What this does, it helps you to be focused. So when you start your day, you have time to do other things. And during the catch up time, you can go and respond to messages on Teams. Depending on your level of energy, you can configure that to be in the afternoon or in the morning. For some, because they are morning people, they keep the catch up messages in the afternoon. So, like when the energy level has dropped down a bit, it could also help them. Oh, looking at what someone said that is funny, it could ginger them to continue on the work as they go ahead throughout the day. So we have the lunch hours. Based on the project you're working on, you could configure your lunch hours. Most companies, their lunch hours fall between 12 to 2. So you can configure your lunch hours and it keeps reoccurring over time. We have the no meeting day plan. So the no meeting day plan, it's really nice, right? So what it does is, let's assume that you are in a team of 5 and you guys have a stand-up meeting every day between the hours of 9 a.m. to 9:30. You can decide within your team that we're going to have our stand-up Monday to Thursday, sorry, and on Fridays will be no meeting. What it means, there will not be meeting at all on Friday. So let's leave that a meeting free day. So we can use that Friday to focus on ourselves, focus on work, and avoid meetings. So what it does is when you enable this, and you have conflicts, if someone sends you a meeting on Friday, Viva Insight reminds you of the no meeting day you have configured and lets you know of conflicts or clashing regarding that. So we also have the schedule send suggestion. So what this does is when you enable this and a colleague of yours wants to send an email or a Teams chat to you outside your work hours, whether the person is in the same location or geographical location with you, or if they are in the same location with you but different time zones or different time slots, it reminds them that this is not this person's working hours. So it helps them to schedule a time on your own work hours and they can send that message to you. And lastly, we have configuring the focus time. So depending on how you want to block your calendar, you can decide that you want to block your calendar 2 hours or sometimes more to help you focus on your specific goals or specific activities. So this could be, you might want the blocking of time to be between in the morning, maybe starting from 8 a.m. So what it does is Viva looks at your calendar from 8 a.m. Once it sees any free slots aside the meetings that you have accepted, it already starts suggesting focus time to you, and you can enable that. During the focus time, you can decide to mute notifications from colleagues. So whatever it is that is happening on Teams, whether someone sends you a one-on-one message, it appears on your team, but you don't get notified. So it helps to keep you focused and avoid distraction. And you could also try, if you want, if you can also enable getting notifications ahead of time. Just like when you have been invited to a meeting from Outlook, you get 15 minutes reminder to before the time. Viva Insight helps you to do that as well, reminding you, oh, you have few minutes time to your focus time to get you mentally prepared for that. Now, here is what the track progress on the well-being looks like on Viva Insight. So on the focus plan, you could see that this particular user has utilized 13 hours on their focus time between Monday to Friday. And it also explains to them how this has impacted within a month from April to May, right? They could also look at the quiet time, the hours that they have specified quiet times without interrupt disruption, sorry. Under here, we could see this is an example of focus time. Because this particular user has set up focus time to start by 8 a.m. Viva Insight gets into this person's calendar and begins to make suggestions. So we could see here the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's free. And these are various options that Viva Insight has suggested to this person. And this particular user has booked for 8 a.m. to 10 and from 10 to 11 and from 1 to 5. So this helps you to focus while you're doing your job. And this is the way it looks like on your Microsoft Teams calendar. Here we could see the various meetings, we could see the focus time, the time that this user has set out to take a break, and the lunch hours as well. Now let's dive into the schedule send suggestion. This is what it looks like. Since we have enabled that, it empowers you to understand the insight and actions going on for an individual. So this particular user is trying to send a mail to a colleague on Teams. They get a notification that is outside their working hours. So they send the message, however, they send the message, but however, they schedule it to be delivered to this person at a specific time. Same applies on the email. You could see you're trying to send an email to a colleague and it's outside their work hours. You get the Viva insights, and you schedule this mail to be sent to them in their working hours. So the good thing about it is when you set up your work week, it reflects on your Outlook settings. So whatever days you have there, it's applicable on the Outlook settings as well. So here we have ready to focus. You have set up your focus time, which is the Viva focus mode. We have here, just like we saw on the previous slide, 120 minutes. So here we have 60 minutes. So it gets you reminded that it's time to focus. And here is what it looks like, 60 minutes with 2 breaks. So it can decide to divide this into various sections, which means you have your 20 minutes to start to focus, 10 minutes break, another 20 minutes focusing, and 10 minutes break. Adding all of them together gives you 60 minutes. So if 60 minutes is too small, you can decide to increase the number of minutes to help you focus. We also have the reflection time. So what the reflection time does is it helps you to develop the habit of regular checking. So like when you're working in the office, your colleague might check up on you. How are you doing? Hope you're okay. So here Viva Insight is your friend, and Viva Insight helps to check up on you. So depending on the settings that you have configured, so we could see here that from Monday to Friday, this particular user has configured Viva to check up on them, Viva Insights to check up on them by 2 p.m. So what it does is every 2 p.m. you get a notification with various emojis. Emojis showing how excited, good, bad, not too good. So what it does is it helps the user or the individual to select how they are feeling at that particular point of the day. For some, they can choose morning, but it's always better to choose in the afternoon. The reason being that in the afternoon, most people are swamped up with a lot of activities to do. Some have deadlines to meet, some have things they have already planned out to complete. So in the afternoon time gives a better understanding of how you are feeling. And what the reflection history does is we could see that some days it's high, some days it's low, some days it's in the middle. So over time, what this reflection history does, it helps the individual to have a look on their well-being. So the individual might do some analysis within themselves. It looks like I have been down for a while. I think it's time to take my leave. I think it's time to take some 2 days leave or a week leave to leave work, maybe travel or do something else to get my energy back. So what the reflection does is it helps you to have an overview of how you're feeling, knowing that you're already getting towards burnout. You need to balance your life. You need to go on a break, you need to take a vacation and come back to be re-energized. We also have the privacy on Viva Insight. So what this does is helps you to Viva Insight for collaboration data, the Viva Insight Outlook add-in, just like we saw on scheduling a mail during the working hours of an individual, and also getting Viva Digest email twice in a month. So here we can see a productivity chart of an individual. So this is like a meeting habits for a particular individual. What this means is for every meeting that you accept on your teams, for every meeting that you join, it has a way of Viva Insight has a way of reading into it. From this chart, we could see that Viva Insight gives this particular individual their meeting habits, meetings that had high attendance, right? Meetings that are more than 1 hour or less than 1 hour. Did they receive any meeting link for those particular meeting they attended? Were there advance notice given to them before they joined this meeting? Did they have to multitask? the meeting overlap with other meetings. So it helps them to understand how best they can um, work on their meeting habits. We could also see the meeting trends and the percentage outcome and the meeting details, giving them understanding of how long the meeting took, the colleagues that joined the meeting, and all. Now, moving on, we're going to look at how Viva Insight could be productive to help us approach teamwork. And the ways we can approach teamwork is focusing our meeting planning with colleagues, expressing gratitude via praise, and effective meeting outcome. So this is what the focus plan looks like. Remember when I made mention of no meeting day. So back to my illustration where a team of five have decided that there will not be any meeting on Friday. So Megan, who happens to already be using the focus plan, decides to share with her colleagues to empower them, to encourage them to start using focus time. So what she does is she sets up a focus plan, encouraging her team members to join her because she's already utilizing the benefits. So she encourages her team members to join her to start using focus time. We have praise. No matter how you do your job, no matter how you work on any particular activity or task, whether it's in the job area or outside or in the community, people are when people are praised and recognized, it makes people to go over and beyond. It makes people to go the extra mile because a simple thank you to somebody puts a smile on their face. Imagine setting up regular reminders to send praises to your colleagues, to thank them for a job well done. So, depending on how you want to configure your praise schedule, you can decide to do that every day. I prefer to do my praise schedule every Friday because it's already Friday. We have the saying TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Everybody's catching up to wrap up for the day. So imagine sending a praise to a colleague you have worked with over the week, saying thank you to them. It's like putting a smile on their face, even as they're logging off for the weekend. They are happy and they are glad. So people you've worked with throughout the course of the week, you troubleshooted issues with, you had challenges and you solve them together. You can go ahead to say thank you to them. Maybe someone got promoted, you can say congratulations to them. Someone had a new baby, you can congratulate them and just to say, using praise to thank them for all that they have done or how they have been helpful to you. It has a long way to go. We have the effective meeting. So effective meeting helps whoever that sets up a meeting to understand the feedbacks, how effective these meetings have been, how it could be important, and how best you can utilize working in this meeting. So what it does is for everyone who sets up a meeting, at the end of every meeting, it gives each participant a feedback for them to talk about what they feel. So, what made this meeting a progress or what made it a success? It has various options. Could it be because of the agenda that was added? Could it be because of the attendee participants and the likes? And how can we make this meeting better? So it gives suggestions. So once this happens, whoever that sets up the meeting could be a one-time meeting or recurring meeting on the effective meeting dashboard, they are able to see the rating of the meeting, what could have made this meeting better or what made the meeting better. So what it does over time is from this mini dashboard, we could see that what made this meeting a success was the agenda that was added there. So over time or going forward, it makes the person who sets up the meeting to keep adding agenda. At least people joining the meeting, they have an understanding as they're accepting the invite. They have an understanding what will be discussed. So they are mentally prepared to join a meeting. We have the teamwork. So when you have configured all the settings on your Viva Insight, this is how your teamwork will look like when you have started using Viva Insight over time. We see here that this is how best an employee or an individual can build better relationships. This particular individual has collaborated with 32 people in the course of 1 month. And within this collaboration, 64 hours of collaboration within the person's working hours and 31 hours of collaboration outside their working hours. When you click on View My Network, it gives you an understanding of the collaboration between their team members. This particular user, it shows how she has collaborated with most of her colleagues who are frequent. She has collaborated with them frequently up until the least frequent people she has collaborated with. There's something significant here. We can see that there is a particular user that has an asterisk. This particular user happens to be this individual's manager. So it's also a good understanding for this individual to know, oh, I'm in collaboration with my manager. So I've been collaborating with my manager frequently, which is like a good plus to you, showing that you are in line with probably the business plans and the business compliances or the business strategy. We also have the communication habits. So the communication habits shows how connected an employee collaborates with their team members. So we have here 65% available to focus and 35% collaboration. When we click on show details, we have the communication habits, and this shows us a bar chart of how this particular individual communicates with their colleagues. So what it does is we can see that this user has sent 13 emails and has read 423 emails. That's a whole lot. And 100 chats and calls. And another thing we can see from this bar chart is that this particular user read those emails between the hours of 9 a.m. to 12-ish, right? So the bar chart helps this particular individual to understand. Maybe you're spending so much time reading emails in the morning. And if you're a morning person, this might also be affecting your productivity. You can decide to read the mails in the afternoon, right? If you're an afternoon person, that's fine. You can read up your emails in the morning. Or it could also help this person understand, I'm spending so much time reading my emails. Maybe I could schedule a specific time if I feel that 10 a.m. is better for me to read emails, I can schedule my time slot to read my emails and respond to them by 10. Use other time slots to work on productivity. So this is what this bar chart does in Viva Insight, helping you to understand how best you can manage your communication habits. And also we have the suggested import contact. So what this does is it shows here that this particular user, when last she communicated with Nestor Week was a while, and the last time, based on the calculation from Viva Insight, based on the communication, probably could be chats and calls or one-on-one meeting, was a total of an hour 26 minutes. So it suggests people to you who you haven't been in contact for a while, right? If it brings up Nestor Week, it's left for Megan to check up on Nestor. How are you doing? It's been a while. And when you click on next, it shows you other people. So based on it works on the most frequent to the least frequent, and try to see people you have less communicated with, suggest them to you for you to reach out to them and communicate with them as you move on as a team member. So doing this, it helps you to build a better relationship, a better rapport with your colleagues, irrespective of working from home, irrespective of not seeing yourselves, irrespective of your geographical location. I'm going to end my session with this quote from Jim Rohn, and he said, take care of your body is the only place you have to live. Just like I made mention of driving a car without a fuel or a diesel or being charged if it's an electric car. It's important that we take care of our body. It's important that we take care of our mental health and thrive with in our place of work, because when we take care of our mental health and our well-being using Viva Insights, it helps us to go over and beyond. It helps us to balance our work life and our personal life. Here are some links you could also click on to know more about Viva and Viva Insights. Thank you.
I've been muting and unmuting all day. I'm sorry. That was a great run through. Thank you so much for that session. I think I learned a few more things about personal insights and what has changed. I think the products for Viva are actually picking up with more frequent changes and more frequent features, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of my favorite features at the moment, as I think I was explaining earlier, was where we can look at those insights alongside Outlook, for example, and I can get all of those different things that will give me hints about how to manage my time. I remember in your presentation you were showing about protecting time and blocking time out for lunch. And I always find that even when I block that time and it's there regularly, that people will still make that booking over the top of it. Do you have any advice for how to handle when someone books a meeting over the top of your lunch?
Okay, so what I normally do is I think I've experienced that once or twice. So I what I did was I had a chit chat talk with this colleague. Oh, have you used are you using Viva Insights?
Mm,
Oh, and I got to understand that this person hasn't been using Viva Insight. I was like, it has really helped me balance my productivity, right? Do you care to have do you have some time for a quick call and I can show you how it works? So I took some time to explain, oh, I'm also having a work week and lunch time, and this is like a specific time. So I came out in such a polite way, not saying don't block my calendar.
yeah,
So when
yeah,
I did that, and I think over time, after 2 weeks, the colleague reached out to me to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for always blocking your time. I got to know that your lunch time is between 12 to 1." And so for me, it was a way of passing an information to the colleague, but doing it in a
yeah.
polite way, and also explaining to the person how to utilize this, because I got to know that my colleague didn't have a lunch time on her own calendar as well. So, well, with
Oh,
doing that, it was helpful to her, and that was a way of me passing the message to her.
yeah. So did she also book some regular time to have her lunch?
Yes.
Oh, yes. We are starting a revolution, a movement. It's called I'm allowed to take a break.
Yeah,
No,
it's
that's great.
critical for the mental health.
Absolutely. I started doing this a few years back, and I have that same problem where people will book time over the top of lunch. Sometimes we have to be flexible, right? When it is an important customer or someone that is it's harder to get their time, so I will just drag my lunch slot down after that meeting and then protect that.
Yeah,
Um,
I totally agree.
yeah, I think that's okay. There was another thing I also find the reminders to get back to people about tasks that it is suggesting I said in my language of my reply. Do you find that quite helpful? How do you use those to manage your time?
Yeah, I find it quite helpful because sometimes when you lose track of things you have to follow up with, Viva Insight kind of reminds you, oh, you follow up with a particular colleague on, you're waiting
Mm,
for a response, just follow up with them, and it helps you to keep track of things you're handling and being on top of the game or top of the activity for the day.
mm. Yeah, and that you can turn that into a task and to do and keep track of it that way. That's
Exactly.
definitely helpful. Something
Yeah.
else about the network of people, and I hadn't seen or thought about this before, but that metric that says here are the number of people that you collaborated with in meetings during this week. And, it might be quite overwhelming for some people to see that number and how large it is and wonder, did I really collaborate with all of those people? Or look how busy I've been and how many times I've had to change my context and my thinking. That must contribute to burnout too, right? The number of meetings and the people that we have to keep changing for.
Yes, it does. Some of them could be people you had one-on-one chats with. Some of them could be people that you guys joined a meeting or webinar together. Yeah, so it also helps you
Oh.
to have an understanding of, because sometimes when we work, we feel we're not doing much, but this gives you an understanding that you are doing a lot. So it's
Mm.
time for you to take a break. You have communicated with these people. Imagine someone spending 64 hours during their collaboration time and 31 hours outside their collaboration time. So it says a
Yeah.
lot, and it makes you to like a pat on the back. You're doing a lot. So don't be hard on yourself. Keep pushing, keep going on.
I think that's really good advice. Don't be hard on yourself. We do have to reflect, don't we? Spend some time, look and see. Actually, we have spent a lot of time working together in collaborative time, then trying to find the time to get the tasks and follow up done. That it's okay to take a break. And there
Yeah.
was another thing I liked about what you highlighted was the reflection time. It's just a simple thing, but being able to click and say, "How am I feeling right now?" and then seeing that graph and understanding, yeah, I've had couple of weeks now where I'm feeling really, I don't know, pushed to the limits. Maybe I should take a wellness day or finish work early today.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really helpful. I think for me, I when I started using Viva Insights, it helps me to plan my vacation days. So when I notice that I'm feeling down a bit, I speak to my manager. I think from my Viva Insight reflection history, I think
Mm,
I need to take a day off. I need to book for my leave for a day off and do something outside work. And I found out that when I've done that and returned back to work, I'm energized.
mm.
For the next few days or few months, my emoji, the graph keeps going up.
Okay,
It doesn't
good.
come down, so it's
Oh, that's
quite
good.
helpful.
Can I ask, maybe that hopefully this isn't a personal question, but what do you find helps you recharge outside of work? What do you like to do?
Okay, so outside of work, I love reading and
Hmm.
researching and also journaling.
Journaling, right. Do you
Mm.
like to find a nice, I don't know, peaceful nature type place or journal somewhere where you're away from technology, you're away from people and you're able to just relax that way?
Yeah, sometimes I take a walk, I go to the park, sit down and looking at the nature, the birds, the flowers. I get some inspiration and I start journaling.
Yeah, I think that breaks like that are so important. And sometimes people are lucky enough to work in places where you can take a lunch break and walk out through maybe a forest or a garden or something. Tell me, Onyinye, have you visited the Microsoft campus in Redmond?
No, but I've visited the one in Dublin.
In Dublin, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Dublin one is like, but one day hopefully you'll get a chance to go to Redmond and the campus there. It's like walking through a garden and a forest with buildings in it. And
Wow.
so I sometimes I think like, wouldn't it be great to work in a place where you could take that half-hour break, take a walk around the block, go through something green with trees and branches and just take a breath.
Does it
That'd be
reflect
amazing.
to what we see on Microsoft Mesh?
Oh, well, Mesh, of course, is virtual. But have you, you might have seen pictures of the treehouse meeting house that they have. So
Yes, I
that,
saw that online.
yeah, now that's an interesting place. It's been built for some time, and they have deliberately made it so that there is very little technology in it. So
Mm.
you can walk up a ramp, you can go along and go to various different places, and then there's a couple of dome-like rooms that are built. They look very natural, and once you go into them, there's a wooden table, there's a few windows on the side, there's this beautiful skyline window at the top, and it's almost
Yeah.
like having a halo above it. And
Wow.
there is no computers in there. The point is that you come with your pen and your paper. I think sometimes they make that rule, and it's about focusing on the people and talking and problem solving with sticky notes and whiteboards and things like that. No technology except the heater. Sometimes it gets cold in there.
I look forward to visits.
Yeah. So I think you had some great advice, and I think it's a very important topic for us to keep in mind now with the way that we work. I think you mentioned a few times our changing way of working, the new normal, is not necessarily a good normal. It is something that tends to, I don't know, stress us out a bit, and if we don't pay attention to how we're really feeling, we could we could end up burning out. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for your advice. It was fantastic. And do you have any other sessions or speaking things that you're planning? Any activity in the community that you're going to be involved in?
Yes, so I'll be attending the Converse where I'll be speaking
Great.
there as well.
Fantastic. That's going to be a great event. They do put on a amazing event there. Unfortunately, I'm all the way over in New Zealand, so it's too far for me to get to anywhere.
Oh,
I have to make my fun on the internet. Yay. But and then I get to look at all the pictures of people like yourself that are having a great time. So do make sure that you learn a lot of things on behalf of those who can't attend, and have a lot of
sure.
fun. Take lots of selfies. That would be awesome. Well, thank you, Onyinye. It was great to have you on, and we can have an early talk with Marin, our next speaker. But yeah, have a great day, Onyinye.
Thank you.